So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off and just kind of set the stage for SD-WAN. And SD-WAN is a really hot topic, and there's a reason for that. So bear with me on this. I'm going to bore you with some statistics here, but it's something that I think we'll be able to relate to. And also that's going to mean something to you, and obviously tie in what SD-WAN, what we do, and the problems it solves. So we got our hands on a report done by Blissfully. It's a third party. We have no skin in the game with them. And we're talking about SaaS adoption, and that's basically everything that's migrated to the cloud. You know, it's Rob has talked to you about phones, you know, doing a hosted VoIP system. A lot of you have probably moved to Microsoft Office 365. You know, that's no longer on a server. So we've been hearing about the cloud for a long time. And guess what? People are going to the cloud. If you look at this category of 51 to 100 employees, in 2014, that size organization average was spending about $2,000 a year on SaaS apps, okay? Flash forward 5 years and they were spending about $160,000 a year. So clearly, organizations such as yours are migrating critical applications to the cloud. Peeling back these numbers a little bit, and this is what's really interesting, of that 160 grand, all right, and looking at the same category of 51 to 100 employees, they're using an average of 79 different apps, okay? So call it 80 different SaaS apps, all right? Now this is something, peeling back those numbers a little bit more, being leaders in IT for your organizations, the average number of billing owners is 12. So basically out of 80 SaaS apps, there's 12 different people that are paying for these things. So what we call that is shadow IT. Basically an employee with a laptop and a credit card, they're firing up SaaS apps and they're not necessarily asking permission. And I'm going to show you how we can help you with that. Does this resonate with everybody? Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So clearly, you know, the cloud is robust. I mean, you go to Microsoft, they've got servers upon servers, they've got diesel generators, you know, in these data centers. It's robust, okay? Their applications stay up, okay? The issue is we got to get you there. And we're relying on these circuits, you know, from Comcast and CenturyLink and what have you. And these internet connections are just inherently unreliable. Not that they're bad companies, it's just there's a lot of infrastructure. There's a lot to doing this. You know, there's drunk guys that run into telephone poles. There's a farmer that cuts fiber, okay? So, you know, the ISPs really do try hard. And we've got data here, and this data is really irrefutable. We monitor literally thousands of internet connections 24/7, all right? We're purely over the top. So you can plug in whatever internet provider you want. You can use up to 4 of them, okay? We have everything from fiber to coax to DSL to satellite to 4G. We're measuring each one of those connections 10 times a second. The average ISP is down hard in a blackout scenario, completely down for 3.5 hours a month, okay? This number is very frustrating to IT professionals. For 23 hours a month, a circuit is in an unhealthy state. And what that means is it hasn't gone down, it's just unhealthy. You might have 5, 6, 7% packet loss. Your firewall won't fail over because it will only fail over if your circuit goes down hard, okay? This can happen in 10-minute increments, 2 in the morning, no one cares, 2 in the afternoon, you're on a VoIP call, the circuit becomes unhealthy, the VoIP call gets choppy or it drops entirely. That's almost an entire day a month that the average ISP has in degraded performance, okay? The other challenge that we see, and this is what I had mentioned earlier as far as that shadow IT, is back in the day, hey, I'm gonna upgrade my Exchange server. And so I'm gonna get the software and I'm gonna do it on a Saturday and you know, I'll be able to monitor this. there was a lot of control to be able to see what was going on within your network. Today, with all these different billing owners, these SaaS applications, really it's kind of become decentralized. And, you know, I'm the proud father of a couple millennials, and they let me know, okay, boomer, there's an app for that, and they just fire it up. All right. So I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. Work from home. Gosh, on March 17th, something pretty dramatic happened in the world. And we went from basically 4.7 million people working from home in the US. That number overnight literally went to 85 million people. And that's created some different challenges. So what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk a little bit about our work from home product. We call it home office. I want to emphasize, Bigleaf has been selling our SD-WAN on the enterprise since 2015. When we talk about our home office product, it's the same service, it's the same software. We wrote this code, we own this code. All the features that's available in the enterprise is available in the home office. We just packaged it differently. So I don't want you to think that what we're talking about is this little residential. No, this is actually, you're kind of deer hunting with an elephant rifle when you put a Bigleaf in, but it solves some critical problems. So in a home office environment, okay, and we've all experienced this working from home, all of a sudden there's competition for bandwidth, all right? You could have mom doing a Zoom call. You could have dad tapping away on Office 365. The teenager is supposed to be doing homework, but they're watching Netflix, and you got junior watching Disney Plus. All of a sudden there's competition. There's competition within the neighborhood as well for bandwidth, okay? So I'm gonna show you how we address that specifically. Going into what Bigleaf is, first it's good to look at what the architecture is, all right? What makes us unique, and we've got competitors out there, and there's some great competitors. Bigleaf is unique. Again, we wrote this code. We own patents on this. We have a couple patents.
Hello. Hello. Hi.
You might be able to mute him, Rob.
Hello.
I think I'm going to.
There you go.
Why does Otto have long hands? Oh.
You just click on there. There should be a blue box, and then you can do.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
Congratulations.
There you go.
Is the glass one ready on your picture frame?
There we go.
There you go. Nice.
Sorry, Wasim.
Hey, I'm talking about working from home, right?
There you go.
That's what we do. So what Bigleaf looks like is we deploy a router, okay, and that has our software on it. You can put up to 4 internet connections into this router. I'm going to show you why it works with even a single connection and the benefits that it provides. One thing that is extremely unique with Bigleaf is we sit outside of the firewall. We are 100% transparent to your security infrastructure. If you've invested a lot of money in a Meraki or a Fortinet or a Sonic Wall, it stays completely intact. The reason I bring that up is I mentioned we have some great competitors. All of our competitors have a firewall built in. So they're going to say, replace your existing firewall, or you need to integrate the two, and it gets complex. And it can be time consuming to get it set up. And basically our approach is to go with the best of breed. Go with the best of breed security, is very important. Go with the best of breed WAN optimization, that's Bigleaf. You put the two together and you have a world-class solution, okay? It's not a jack of all trades, master of none type scenario. So we sit outside the firewall, up to 4 ISPs, and then we build you into the core of the internet. So the core of the internet, we are in the largest peering centers in the world, okay? In your neck of the woods, we're in Equinix in Chicago. We build every customer into 2 of those. One as a primary, one as a secondary for backup, for redundancy. In case something happens at Equinix in Chicago or something happens with our stack, we build you into 2 because you need to be up, okay? So deploy a router, build you into 2 gateways, one as a primary, one as a secondary, and we create a tunnel between you and the core of the internet. Why that's important, okay? We have direct peering relationships with thousands of SaaS apps. We directly peer with Microsoft, with Google, with AWS, of course, Azure. This is just a sampling, a handful of some cool logos. What that basically means is we're taking your traffic from your facility or from your house directly into the core of the internet and handing it to Microsoft. If you don't do that, basically you're going to rely on Comcast to route your traffic to Microsoft. And that can be leaving your house, going to Des Moines, coming to Denver, and then hitting a Microsoft server back in Chicago. Every one of those is hops. Every hop adds a little bit of latency, so it makes it feel a little slower. Bigleaf is going to directly peer in the core of the internet. Are there any questions on direct peering or what the architecture looks like?
Oh.
Okay. So that's the architecture. That's why we're built that way, is for the direct peering. Huge benefit. Whether you're working from home, whether you're working from the office, having that direct peering in the core of the internet is critical. It's just everything is going to feel faster. It's going to perform better. Okay. Now, 3 of the main features that Bigleaf delivers. The first one is intelligent load balancing. Again, I'm going to explain. Most people associate SD-WAN with failover, moving your traffic between circuits. Huge benefit. It's awesome. There is also a lot of benefit to a single circuit, and I'll explain what that does. For multiple circuits, and that's 2 circuits, 3 circuits, 4 circuits, okay? Our software is going to check each connection 10 times a second. We measure packet loss, latency, jitter, and throughput. 10 times a second we're doing that. Our software is determining which is the healthiest circuit, and we're moving your traffic based upon those metrics. Okay, so when I gave you those statistics on the average ISP is down hard, 3.5 hours, brownout scenario where it's unhealthy, 23, we're measuring each connection 10 times a second. That data is irrefutable, and it's every ISP out there. So that's what Bigleaf does. We actually have a patent on this technology because we even can adjust for the throughput of the circuit, which helps eliminate packet loss. That's a patented technology. That's where you can get some benefit even from a single circuit, is we can actually help reduce packet loss. Packet loss tears up voice calls. Okay, voice is very sensitive, and packet loss is one of the VoIP destroyers. The next one, this is huge, folks. Okay, this is where I'm tying back in why I bored you with those statistics at the beginning. Here's a mouthful. Bidirectional automated QoS. Okay, what that simply means is we've got this router on your premises or in your home. We've built you into the core of the internet. That gives us control at both ends. We can prioritize your traffic automatically in both directions, your upload as well as your download. This is new. If you've used a firewall to prioritize and say, I'm going to prioritize my voice traffic, I'm going to prioritize Zoom, I'm going to prioritize Office 365. First of all, you have to do that manually. You have to go in the firewall and manually set your QoS policies. Bigleaf, we have a patent on this. Only SD-WAN supplier on the planet where our software automatically applies a QoS policy to 100% of your traffic. So when I showed you, that basically employees are making decisions on their own, there's 12 different billing owners, okay? How are you as an IT professional supposed to keep up with prioritizing the traffic? You have to see what happened yesterday to prioritize today. Bigleaf does it automatically. Let's say your CEO gets an invite for a Chime session, which is a web conferencing platform like this. Well, you've prioritized for Zoom. The CEO got an invite for Chime. All of a sudden the Chime doesn't go well. They're going to call you. If it goes well, you don't know. So Bigleaf is going to prioritize these automatically based on a traffic type. Not only that, but it's going to manage your inbound and outbound. A firewall, for example, can only manage the outbound. It doesn't have that piece of equipment in the core of the internet to manage your inbound traffic. A voice call is 2 ways. it's important to manage your download speed as well, okay? This happens automatically. This is huge, folks. We have been deploying home office like crazy. You send this to someone that's an accountant, for example. They plug it in. You don't want to have to explain to them, okay, now we need to set in, or you need to remote in and say, we need to set your QoS policies. Bigleaf does it automatically, okay? Any questions on our automated QoS? Am I going too fast, too slow?
My biggest question is, what does it look at to see what's the biggest thing that it needs to be at that point? Is it just, I mean, how do you guys know that?
It is, and there's guys in white coats back in Portland, Oregon, who wrote the code, who could explain it better than I can. The way that it was explained to me is, we're not just looking at packet headers, but our software, and that's why we have a patent on this. It looks at the behavior of the traffic. A VoIP call behaves in a certain way and has a certain pattern, okay? A Zoom call does, Office 365, a Netflix session, Microsoft patch download. It recognizes the type of traffic based on behavior and applies a QoS policy automatically. It's really remarkable. Okay, great question though. So we're going to classify it in one of these 6 categories, okay? The most common question I get when I bring that up is, what if we want to change that? What if we wrote our own application and it's extremely important to us? Yeah, we can change this. You give us a call and we'll tweak this QoS stack. I had one lady, you know, I was proudly going in and I say, we always put VoIP at the top. Well, VoIP is very sensitive. And so, and it's a high priority. She said, Brian, I don't care. She said, I got 10 developers I'm paying $100 an hour to a piece. I don't care if my phones ring. Fair enough. We moved the VoIP down and we moved their that app that they're writing code on up. Okay, so it can be customizable, absolutely. Okay. I would like you to go ahead and Google same IP failover. The #1 organic search you'll see is Bigleaf networks. What we do, and this is on our enterprise side, not necessarily on home office, it's an option with home office, but on the enterprise side, we issue a static IP block from our own ASN. Fancy way of saying it's a Bigleaf IP address that doesn't change, okay? We'll get you as big a block as you need. We'll give you a /30, which is 1 usable. If you need more usables, we can get you what you need. Basically, what that enables us to do is we're checking each connection 10 times a second. We're assessing the health. Let's say that you have AT&T in WAN port 1 and you've got CenturyLink in WAN port 2. Your voice call is on the AT&T. It begins to become unhealthy. Before it affects the call quality, we'll move it to CenturyLink. Guess what? Your IP address doesn't change. That session stays live. We move your traffic between up to 4 circuits and your IP address doesn't change. That's how you stay live in a failover state. Okay? So I'm going to show you.
Hey, Brian?
Yes, sir.
Sorry, prompted a quick question. Maybe this will help somebody, since I know we've got a number of home users currently. If I'm working at home and I'm using you versus Xfinity, WoW, whatever the case is, and yeah, I'm using what I have, which you know, whatever, for whatever decision, you know, the service that I have is using a dynamic IP. Save me some money. I'm working at home. I wasn't going to use it for work. Well, yeah, that changed. So, you know, in this current environment, let's say I've got a dynamic service. Doesn't have a static assigned to anything. Does that make a difference? Does that make any additional challenge as far as Bigleaf is concerned? Not
whatsoever. You do not need a static IP address from your ISP. We will take DHCP. So the way that I coach my partners is, If the ISP is going to give you a static IP block for free, take it. We like it better too, okay? If they're going to charge you for it, and Comcast will charge you $19.95 a month for a static IP block, you don't need to give that money. The Bigleaf can be provisioned with DHCP as well. You can have one with static, you can have one with DHCP. Basically, on the enterprise side, we're going to give you a static IP address that's Bigleaf, okay? And that won't change. Even as you change ISPs in the future or add ISPs, you don't even need to go into the firewall and update it because it's a Bigleaf issued IP. So that's a good question.
Huh.
On our home office product, how we do failover is NATed DHCP. So we still do seamless failover. We just don't give a static IP as a default. You can add it on if you want to, okay? So that's part, we had to make the products a little bit different, and that's part of the packaging was NATed DHCP failover as opposed to same IP failover, okay? So good question though, thank you. So you've seen, and you can see my screen now, this entire time, I've been streaming a couple videos going on, and I'm on the Zoom call. Folks, I work from my house, and I'm using Xfinity, and it's not a good circuit. I told Rob I moved in 2 weeks ago. I miss my CenturyLink DSL. Yeah, my DSL was way better than my fiber to the house Xfinity, and I have the data to prove that, okay? Basically, I'm not worried about this. If Xfinity goes down, I'm going to get a second circuit to fail over to because I'm just not pleased with its performance. But I'm not worried about the traffic that's happening in my house because my Bigleaf is making sure that the Zoom call gets priority, okay? If my bandwidth were to shrink down, these videos would start to buffer, okay? But my Zoom would stay perfect because this is a higher priority application, okay? So looking at my portal, I'm going to show you my example, okay? I'm off of a single connection here. What does Bigleaf do with a single connection? Most people think SD-WAN and failover and that's it, okay? This is pretty remarkable. I've used 926 gigs since I've been here in 2 weeks. I use a lot of data. I've done over 2 million sessions, okay? This is what my Bigleaf is doing. It's prioritized 4 million packets. Those packets, I'm competing with these videos that are playing in the background for this Zoom. My Bigleaf is making sure that my Zoom is prioritized over those, all right? That's what my Bigleaf is doing on a single connection. Look at this. My Bigleaf is prioritized, made this decision to prioritize my business critical applications in 2 weeks, 456 times. If it didn't do that, my Zoom could be really choppy or it could drop. My AT&T streaming would be fine. That's not the priorities that I need to do my job. Now I'm going to show you, this guy works for me. He's based out of Phoenix, and he does these demos all day, every day. He lives in a really bad area, okay? And when Tim started with us, he said, cool, and he grabbed a Bigleaf, he threw it under his arm, he got all trained up, he went home, plugged it in, and we're like, dude, your internet connection stinks. He had a Cox, and it's a 150 by 5 coax. It's an unhealthy circuit, and I'll show you why I say that. We're making a data-driven decision, and this is what I really want to enforce to you people. I didn't need a second connection at my old house because it was a really good connection. At this house, I do. I don't trust it, okay? And I've got the data to make that decision. And for my employer to say, yes, Brian, expense another circuit, we can see this, okay? So Tim was sent home, Cox, not a healthy circuit. All he could get was a CenturyLink DSL, okay? His DSL is 12 by 896K because that's all that's available in his neighborhood. So let's look at what Tim, and he's hosting Zoom sessions like this, doing these lunch and learns and everything. Let's look at what the Bigleaf has done for him. So in 30 days, he's used 1.2 terabytes of data. He's done just about 9.5 million sessions. We've prioritized 2.3 million packets. This will blow your mind, folks. The Bigleaf has moved his traffic between now 3 circuits. He just added that. It's checking each one 10 times a second and using the healthiest one. It's done it 177,000 times in 30 days. In the course of us being on this meeting, the Bigleaf would have moved it probably a couple dozen times, yet the experience was perfect. It would not have dropped whatsoever, okay? We've saved him 14 hours in the past 30 days of being down, okay? Almost 3,200 QoS adaptations. Minor issues, 2.1 days worth, okay? So when I sit here and say Tim has got bad internet, here's what I'm talking about. We can look at each ISP, see what traffic is going over it and how that ISP is performing. And this is just over the past day. So here's his overall throughput. This is how much bandwidth Tim is using, okay? Critical tool to have, folks. When do you need to add bandwidth? Sometimes we're just throwing a dart at it, okay? Most people, if they have an issue, they say, I need more bandwidth. That doesn't fix it. If the ISP is unhealthy, adding more bandwidth is just a donation to them, okay? Base your decision off of real data. Here we can see Tim, he never uses more than 100 megs, okay? And that's on the download. Now we're looking at average latency and loss. This should be a flat green line. He's got 3 unhealthy circuits, okay? Here's a traffic that Cox, that the Bigleaf is using the Cox for. Here's his capacity. Here's why I say that Tim's Cox service is not good. This should be a perfectly flat red line. This looks like an EKG. These are alarms, folks. All right, at this time here, he had a level 7. We go from level 1 to level 7. Level 7 means that circuit is down hard, okay? We can see that his jitter is at a level 4. That's gonna affect his experience. So that's on one circuit. We look at his CenturyLink DSL. The Bigleaf is looking at the health and determining which traffic to use it for. It's not used as much, okay? His DSL has gone down twice today, okay, within the past 24 hours. And then he's got this wireless, okay? That's not good either. So you see these charts here? That's why the Bigleaf is moving at 177,000 times. When this circuit is unhealthy, it's looking at this circuit. If they're both unhealthy, it's going to use this circuit, okay? If all 3 of them are unhealthy, it's going to use the healthiest one at that exact moment.
So
All right?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
You've got your main office, and then you've got people working from home.
Mm-hmm.
So how does this work for people working at home using their internet service and things like that?
Mm-hmm. This is, I'm using my internet service on my Bigleaf. Tim is using his own internet service at with a Bigleaf. You can use whomever you wish. All we need is an internet. Mm-hmm.
Do you have to have Bigleaf at all those locations or just in your main location?
You don't, you put Bigleaf in where you have issues and where you want the direct peering and the failover and all that. You do not have to have a Bigleaf at every one of your locations, okay?
Okay.
You can put it in. I have some prospects. One of them is a contact center. So they've got agents. It's critical that they have a good experience and their voice is always perfect. They put in 2 circuits and a Bigleaf at every one of their agents' offices. I've got other companies, a whole bunch of other companies. We do really well with medical. And so, you know, doctors with telemedicine. Some doctors have really good internet at their house. They don't have a Bigleaf. Other ones, they're downloading an image and it drops in the middle of it. They can't do their job. They put a Bigleaf in and they work for the same practice.
Okay, so it really is determined by the health of the internet of the employee that's working from home.
And the business, absolutely. And, you know, like I said, we put this in hospitals, we put this in police stations. I put this in the Waco Police Department. They've got 2 fiber providers coming in at different points, and then they got a 4G as a tertiary. Basically, you could dig a moat around the police station and they will not drop an E911 call, okay? Then I've got people that are working from home, and like in my neighborhood or in Tim's neighborhood, this is all that he has. He can get a slow DSL and Cox. That's it. His only other option was to get that 4G, okay? So in my other house, you know, before I moved in here 2 weeks ago, I had a DSL, extremely healthy. I didn't need it. I didn't get a second circuit. I didn't need it. It would have been a waste of my company's money, but it was a DSL, so I needed to manage the traffic on there because my DSL didn't go down, but it's a DSL and it's a limited amount of bandwidth. I need to make sure that my Zoom calls go well. And if the kids are streaming TV or something, it's okay if there's buffers. I need to do my job, okay? So that's why I have the Bigleaf. In my new house here, I don't like this Xfinity circuit. It's not good. I can show you. Now I made a case to my employer just yesterday and I said, you're gonna have to let me expense another circuit. This is not good. My circuit, look, it spiked to over 200 milliseconds yesterday, okay? It's gone down a couple times. This is my health. My DSL was a perfectly flat line. I've got issues with this circuit. Now I can make a data-driven decision. My employer can make a data-driven decision. Brian, you need to go out and get another circuit. We'll absorb the cost for that. I didn't do that at my other house. I only kept it with a single circuit because I wouldn't have seen any uptick. It was a really reliable circuit, so we can make data-driven decisions.
So for those of you in the audience that are uninitiated to what Brian was just saying, 200 milliseconds for voice performance is unacceptable. It's just way too long of a delay. You will notice drops and delay in the voice quality. Yeah, we're looking for something on the order of less than 50 milliseconds is really more of your best practices standards. That gives you an idea of what Brian's talking about when he's looking at subpar performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any questions? Anything else I can show you guys on this or clarify anything?
No, at all. I'm going to unmute Wasim and make sure that he's still not being picked on.
I'm here. I'm listening. Don't worry about that.
How you doing, Wasim?
Yeah, I mean, I have DSL at home too, and trust me, it's so much better than Comcast. So I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
It is.
It wasn't as fast as Comcast, but you know what? It was reliable, and that was more important to me at that point.
I've got almost 10 times the bandwidth, but it's absolute crap.
Yep.
And that's why I tell people, here's something else that's really interesting, again, to make data-driven decisions, okay? This is how much of my bandwidth I'm using, 1%. I'm streaming 2 videos and doing a Zoom session, and my Roomba's running and all that. I'm only using 1% of my bandwidth. On that DSL, that was an 80 by 40, so 80 down and 40 up. My average utilization was about 2 to 3%. The way that I explain that to people is an internet connection is a wide open dirt road, and that dirt road has potholes, okay? Bigleaf comes in, we pave that road, we put lanes on, and we create HOV lanes for high priority stuff. All of a sudden your traffic is running way more smoothly. To Rob's point earlier, you don't need as much bandwidth. A lot of people, their initial reaction, if they were in my situation, and I showed you the performance of this, I need to upgrade with Xfinity. I'm gonna go to their gig service. I'm on their 600 meg package. If I did that, I would just have a wider dirt road that's unhealthy that I'm not using. So I'm making a donation to Xfinity. That's not the right thing to do. My money is better spent by getting an alternative carrier that I can route around issues.
So Brian, this is Christy Clark, and excuse my
Christy.
ignorance here. Hi. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around it all and understand. So
Sure.
the Bigleaf connection would be dependent on if you're working from home or working in office, that particular location correct?
Yes.
And then it would create, let's say you have one internet provider if I'm working from home, and there's only one internet provider in my area. This would create multiple options to manage the data that's flowing in and out. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, we're going to, if you only have a single connection, we can help things be better, you know, because we can help reduce packet loss and stuff. I'm nervous because my Comcast, my Xfinity is crap. And if they go down, my Bigleaf can't fix that. If I get, and I'm going to get another connection, and all I can get here is CenturyLink DSL, but it's 1.5 megs down and 500 kilobits up. I'm actually thinking I'm going to go with a 4G connection. We can set up the Bigleaf so that it will only use the 4G when necessary because I don't want a big bill. Okay. So our software will move the call if it has something to fail over, even if Comcast goes down hard. If I give it an option to go to something else, it will. A lot of times it can clean up. You know, like I said, in my other house, the DSL was rock solid. I didn't need to spend the company's money and get more. Here, I have very limited options. Really slow DSL or to do a 4G, okay? And it's because I moved. It's your neighborhood. It happens in downtown Chicago. You know, it depends where you are in relation and how the ISP is performing there. We route around those issues. So we can take two subpar, not good connections and give you a bulletproof experience.
So is that something you would have to put in each location physically, or is that a software type service?
Yeah, no, once you have the Bigleaf in, we don't charge you per connection, okay? So you can make a determination on a case-by-case basis, okay? Brian's old house, don't need another connection. Brian's new house, we do need another connection, okay? Tim, he had 2 connections. They were still so bad. Tim, go get a 3rd one. It's too important. We pay you too much money to not be, you know, as productive as possible. So Tim, go get another one. So it's on a site-by-site basis. Again, we're giving you data that you typically haven't had access to be able to make these data-driven decisions, okay? Employees are still the most expensive line item on most employers' balance sheets. Keep them productive, okay? If you have to wait to reestablish a connection, your VPN connection or a VDI session, and you have to wait 5 or 10 minutes, that's costing the employer a lot of money in productivity.
So Christy, are you asking if they need to have a Bigleaf at each location or at each house, or are you asking if they need to have different services?
Kind of both. So what I'm asking is, so let's just say we sign on to Bigleaf, and you know, Tom's working in Minnesota. You know, most of us are working here in the Chicagoland area. There's multiple options as far as availability of internet connections and different services. So my question was, you know, if those that are in these weak areas with these, you know, brownouts and such, is it a physical application that has to be applied at each location, or is it a service-based application? And from what I'm hearing, it sounds like your service will provide that.
Yes.
Without
a physical connection, right?
Yep. You're going to have the service at your house. It's not
Yes.
based on what we have here in Libertyville. It's a separate service at your house, correct, Brian?
Correct, and it's on an individual site basis. So if you have good, healthy internet and you never go down, you know, you may not need a Bigleaf. If this is a house and these people are really struggling, we would physically put a router, we would provision a router, ship it out to you. You plug your internet into the Bigleaf, you plug your Wi-Fi on the outside of the Bigleaf, and Bigleaf will take care of business. If you need to get another internet connection because the first one's so unhealthy, you just plug that into another WAN port on the Bigleaf, okay? So we do deploy an appliance, a router, and then you're automatically built into the core of the internet. If one of your coworkers is in a really good area and they don't have any issues, they don't need a Bigleaf, okay? You can do it on a case-by-case basis. So Bigleaf is going to work. Basically what we're doing is we're optimizing for that individual, for that specific location, okay? Direct peering, we're building you for site to cloud connectivity, all right? For you to get the benefit as an entire organization, you don't have to have it at every one, okay? The ones that are struggling, you want a Bigleaf there because it's going to help them to do their job. Did that answer their question?
Yes. Now I fully understand what's happening. So
Excellent.
Brian,
Good.
what's the cost of a router approximately?
That's a great question. We base that off of, and I'll pull up our pricing here. We base it off of throughput, okay? So here's what we're looking at. So our enterprise, or what you put in the office, you look at the amount of bandwidth that you're going to use. Our most popular packages are 100 meg and our 250 meg. So either 199 or 299. That's synchronous, so it'll allow 100 up and 100 down, or 250 up and 250 down, okay? Those are our most popular size packages, okay? So you can see 199 and 299. For the home office, again, what makes it different is we're asynchronous, so the download is higher than the upload instead of being matched. We have 3 different package sizes. The 150 by 20 will suffice for the vast majority of people out there. We do give options if you want to do a 500 by 50 package or a gig by 100. The 150 by 20 is 99 bucks a month.
Okay.
And then I mentioned, you know, we do natted DHCP for failover on this. If you want a public, or excuse me, a static IP, that adds 10 bucks a month. Most people don't need a static IP at their house. They're fine with natted DHCP.
All right, folks, thank you so much. I'm gonna break in here. I think this has been a good session for everybody, but we are a little bit past the top of the hour, and I just want to be cognizant of everybody's time here. Brian, again, I really want to thank you for your time and your input here. And great questions, folks. We appreciate the feedback. So, you know, please know that if you got any questions or you know, further comments, you know where to find me. Reach out to me, and Brian's not far away. I can bring him into a conversation, and let me just emphasize what he was talking about here. This is a product for optimization, and we do want to look at things for you on a case-by-case basis. It's all about flexibility, and it's about covering your specific needs, okay? So,
and we do have a 30-day money-back guarantee with everyone. So it works, guys. And put it in, it'll fix the job. It'll fix it. And we guarantee it.
okay. Thanks again to everybody. And
thank you.
Yes, everybody have a very good afternoon. Stay healthy and wise and everything else positive. All right. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Take care, folks.
Hey, Rob.
Yeah, Tim.
Sorry I was so late.
No, don't worry about it.
I got out of control here. So
No. So no problem. I'll call you back in a few, Tim.
yeah, you know most of my out of control for today.
No problem. We just got to keep Wasim under control. That's the big issue.
He's texting me. He won't
Oh,
run.
not me. I'm always out of control.
Yeah, right. Always.
All right, guys.
Take it easy.
Thanks
Bye.
for coming on board. Appreciate it. All right, see ya.
I didn't know it was today.